Hi, I'm Al. Welcome to Daily Touchpoints. Today we're looking at 1 Samuel 4. As I was reading over this chapter, one of the things that kept coming to my mind was Steven Spielberg's movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's a pretty old movie, but it's a classic Hollywood good versus evil action-adventure movie with Indiana Jones being the good guy and the Nazis being the bad guys. The setting is 1936, and the Nazis are looking for the Jewish lost Ark of the Covenant so that they could obtain its power, so that they could have world domination. Fortunately, Indiana Jones was there. Let's look at this chapter and see if the ideas the Nazis had about the Ark of the Covenant are actually true and the power that it had. As I was reading over this chapter, one of the questions that I had was, why didn't God show up? Why did the Israelites lose to the Philistines? They even brought the ark there, and they lost to the Philistines. When we look at Jewish history, when we look at other times, when the ark has been there, when they marched the ark around Jericho 7 days in a row, and they blew their trumpets, the walls came tumbling down. When the Israelites were going into the promised land and the ark touched the Jordan River dried up and the people walked on dry land. So many times we see miracles happening when the ark is there, but not this time. Not this time. Why not? As I'm looking at it, two things stick out to me. As I read over the chapter, I don't see them ever consulting God. It didn't seem like they consulted God when they went out to battle the Philistines in the first place. And if they lost the first day, it doesn't seem like they've consulted God to figure out what should we do now. They just decided, hey, the best thing for us to do is bring the ark here because the ark's going to have power and the ark will make us win. But it doesn't seem like they talked to God about that. The second thing I see, if we go back 2 chapters in 1 Samuel, is that Eli, who was leading Israel, his 2 sons, who were also leaders, were doing evil in God's eyes. They were doing bad stuff. They weren't following the law. They weren't following the commandments. And they kept doing it. And those 2 guys are the ones that brought the ark to the battlefield. It seems like they weren't staying connected to God, and at least some of the people were totally disobeying God. And that's why God's power didn't show up. The Israelites thought that God's power was actually in the ark, but God's power, I believe, is actually in staying connected to Him and doing what He's wanting us to do. If the Nazis in the Raiders of the Lost Ark movie would have just read 1 Samuel 4, they would have realized their mission was doomed. But that probably would have made a pretty bad movie. For me, these verses show how I can connect to God's power if I stay connected to Him and do the things He's asked me to do. Have a great day.